Hi, welcome to my channel. You know, I wasn't going to do a video like this, but I couldn't resist. After watching a video that Matthew at Model Car Videos did that was entitled, why do we build what we build? I wasn't going to respond to that video, but because I'm new to the modeling business, and I shouldn't say I'm new to it. I'm coming back into it after a very long hiatus away from it. But I kept thinking about it, and I watched a couple of other videos of some of the builders on YouTube just telling their story, and I couldn't help it. I had to do this. So anyway, I hope not to go down any rabbit trails. I don't want to make this video anywhere near as long as the last one I posted. I got carried away in that video, I admit it. But anyway, I started building models back in the early 60s, mid 60s. I was like maybe 8 years old, going into my early teens. And when we built them back then, me and my childhood friend back then, we used to sit at our picnic table in the backyard and build the models, and we weren't fussy. I mean, we had the Testors tube glue, which, was all over the place. And we would build the models to just destroy them, because we would do demolition derbies with them. And actually, when we built them in a way that whose car was going to last the longest before it started falling apart. So, yeah, we used a lot of glue. We also used to do the Joie Chitwood thrill show stuff. Guys, if you're not familiar with Joie Chitwood and his thrill show, I'll post a video down in the not a video, but a link down in the description box where you can explore Joie Chitwood and his thrill show. He used to go to some of the racetracks all up and down the East Coast, as far as I know, and he would drive cars on two wheels around the track, and he would jump other cars and multiple cars, kind of like an Evel Knievel thing with a motorcycle, but he'd do it with a car. He just did some amazing fun things, and we always loved when he came into the area. So we used to emulate that also with our model cars. But anyway, I digress, and I'm starting to go down a rabbit trail there. When I got back into the hobby, after I retired from full-time employment, I thought I'm going to get back into the hobby because I always enjoyed building models. And I wasn't just a car guy. I also did planes. Never did a boat, but cars and planes are pretty much my thing. I was always really passionate about the World War II, I should say mid 20th century heavy bombers, the B-17, the B-29s, the B-52s. I was always had a passion for them, and I started back into the hobby by finding in a box. My mom gave me a box that she had in her basement of a lot of models that I had built when I was a kid. And one day I'll do a video and show some of the disasters that I had then. But again, I was a kid. I didn't really, I put them together. But anyway, in that box was a B-29 bomber that I didn't even remember building as a kid. So I thought, as my first project after like 50 some years away from it, I'm going to rebuild that B-29. So I did. I tore it down and I took it apart. I only lost one part on it, and that was the little bombardier that was up in the front. He went into the black hole under my workbench. I never did find him. But anyway, I digress. I rebuilt that model. It was missing a propeller, and so I made it look like that engine was hit, and it was coming back with 3 engines instead of 4. But anyway, I had such a good time with that model that I knew I was back in business. I just knew it. I just loved doing it. So I started thinking about what am I going to do for my next project, and I've learned now in the not even a year. I think I got back into this in February of this year. Or maybe it was last year. Time goes so fast once you retire. Believe it or not, I don't know how I had time to work, but that again, there goes that rabbit trail again. Anyway, I started thinking about, my grandfather had a 1930-ish pickup truck. And I looked around and I found the 1934 Ford pickup that, in my memory, looked like the one that my grandfather had. So I got it and I started building it. And again, I had such a good time with it. And I started learning things that I never did before, because in 50 some years, the modeling industry, the modeling whole thing has changed so much, and there's so many new things available. I'm learning every day. Anyway, so I built this 34 pickup with what I remembered of my grandfather's truck. And the reason I remember that truck, because I was only maybe 6, maybe 7 years old, if that. But I remember the headlight, one of the headlights that were on that headlight bar that went between the fenders was broken. And my father and I went to the local junkyard. I guess they call them auto recycling centers today. But we went to the junkyard and we found one in the junkyard and bought it. And then my dad was wonderful. He was my best friend and my dad. He had the patience of a saint, and he's probably a saint now. I lost him about 20 some years ago, but I miss him dearly. But anyway, he allowed me to help him, and he showed me how to replace that headlight. And I remember I was just a kid. I could hardly turn the wrench, but it was such an experience. And I saw how happy my grandfather was when he had a new headlight put on his truck. So anyway, I thought of that, and I started building that truck the way I remembered it. And the truck had actually been my uncle's, his son. They ran a coal business. So I remember the truck was dirty all the time, and there was some rust on it here and there. So I learned a lot by doing that very first build after coming back into the hobby, by doing some rust, by putting a wooden bed in and making it look really dirty. I chipped it, and anyway, I learned a lot, and I had such a good time doing that I started thinking about, okay, what's my next build? And then Kim from Kim's Kustomgarage, I believe Kim is from Denmark or Amsterdam. Sorry, Kim, if I got that wrong. But he had a group build going, an appreciation build for a 32 Ford Coupe. So I figured, I'm going to jump in. I don't have anything to lose. Then I jumped in, and I had a good time with that build, but boy, did I have problems with it. I had painting problems, I had fit problems, I lost a part and had to make some, but boy, did I learn a lot from that kit. I got it done, and I'm actually happy with it, although I did lose one door handle in the process. But I had a great time with that. And then I built a 66 Mustang, because again, in my head, I remembered my uncle had a 66 Mustang, and I was a teenager at the time. We had such a great time with that car. We used to go all over the place with that car. And so I built that. But I built that car not to be like a shelf car or a cabinet car or anything. I built it because, again, I wanted to learn some new techniques, and I didn't care if I messed it up. Anyway, bottom line here is that I tend to build what I remember from the past. I tend to build things that I have that are attached to me. And one of the other things that I build, or I'm going to be building, are cars from the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And that came about because I guess I was between ages 10 and 14 or so. My neighbor's uncle, who lived with my neighbor, was rebuilding a Model A Ford, a 1929 Model A Ford. And me and my childhood friend at that time helped him, and he encouraged us to help him. And again, I had such a good time with that, and we had such a good time with that car, that it's been a passion of mine ever since. So I tend to sway toward that era of car. And I have quite a few in my stash, even though my stash is very, very small. But I have quite a few of that 29s, 30s, 31 type Fords, because I love them, and I have plans to rebuild, to build them like I remember the car that I helped rebuild. Anyway, so that's one of my passions, or that's what I tend to build. I'm also, again, into the heavy bombers, and I have a couple of B-29s, which are 1/48th scale. No, I'm sorry, 1/40, yeah, 1/48th scale, or 48th scale. And I bought two of them because there are two B-29s that are still flight worthy, and one is named Fifi and the other one is Doc. And I've seen both of them, and I've been inside of Doc, and I was able to sit at the flight engineer's console. What an experience. That was so great, to be able to sit there. And they were taking people up for rides in Fifi, but it was really expensive, and I didn't want to spend the money at the time. But if Fifi's in the area again, like next summer when they have the air show in Reading, PA, I'm going to spend the money. I want to go up in one. So, I tend to build what, again, I experienced personally from my past. And I'm not a hot rodder. I'm not a gasser type of guy. When I build the cars, I build them the way I remember actual cars being. So that's kind of my thing. And, I guess that's where I'm at. So I just, we all build for different reasons. I build also for the creativity. I can express some of my creativity in my builds. And even though I might build a car that's on my mind, something that I remembered from my past, I might not build it exactly the way it was, because I'm building it the way I might have built it when I was in the past. So anyway, I build things that are near and dear to me. And I guess that's it. That's kind of what I do. So listen, I really appreciate all the people that I found on YouTube. And I'm not going to name them, but you know what? I'm going to put some links down in this description box for their YouTube channels, and please go check them out. But I am going to shout out one person, and that's Mark Batson. Mark is over at Hubbydude 007, and the reason why I'm highlighting him is because, and I don't know the man other than his YouTube videos, and I spoke with him through email once or twice. I have learned so much from him. I consider him a master builder, and he's a great guy. Actually, they're all good guys. I'll name some. Matthew over at Model Car Videos, Luka Cee at Luka Cee's channel. I never talked to him. I never met him, but he seems like a really nice guy. BG over at BG, I believe it's called Model Shop. Talked to him through just comments on YouTube. Seems like a really nice guy. everybody has been helpful. Everybody has been supportive. And guys, I want to thank you. I have learned so very much from all of you. And I appreciate the help that you've given me, even if you don't realize that you've given me help. So anyway, I plan on keep on building. You can check me out at Skip's Messy Workbench. And I guess that's it. So, hey, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching this. I want to thank you all for watching. And if you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, you can give it a thumbs down. But, you know, I would prefer a thumbs up. And do me a favor. If you really liked it, smack that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when I release new videos, give that bell a ring and set it to all. I don't release a lot of videos, so I won't be bugging you that much. Anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.